everyone and welcome to the first video of 2021. The pandemic has magically disappeared with the new year and I haven't seen a friend in 2.5 months, so I decided to just build my own friend. I live together with my boyfriend, but he doesn't come. Okay, no, seriously. I finally made a dress form with my own measurements. I do have a dress form that I bought and that is also adjustable, but it still doesn't quite fit me because I have a very small rib cage and also shoulder, especially when I sew corsets. It doesn't really fit, and in the end I always have to put it on myself and adjust it on my own body, and it's always a little bit complicated. So yeah, I'm happy that I did this. I'm pretty proud how this turned out. It looks pretty cool. Kinda has my measurements. It's not perfect, but I think it will do. And here's how I did it. So stay tuned.
At first I asked my boyfriend in the nicest possible way to help me with this project.
I need your help.
All you do is need my help.
He had no other choice but to agree, and we started wrapping my torso in plastic wrap and tape. This took about 1.5 hours because we mostly work with very small straps to most adequately. Okay, I looked it up. It's pronounced adequately. So let's do that again. This took about 1.5 hours because we mostly work with very small straps to most
Adequately
wrap around the natural curvature of my body and not squeeze my body together. We spent most time on the breast and bottom area. Yeah, this was absolutely no fun, and I'm supposed to add, for neither of us. After this was finally finished, we drew some lines on my body, marking things like the center and sides, my shoulder, breasts and hips. And then I could finally be cut out of this. I quickly recreated the tape shell because when we cut me out, the way we did it, it wasn't so smart, and my boyfriend was constantly pinching me with his scissors. Mostly on purpose, I guess. So if you plan to use this technique yourself, I highly suggest wearing a tight shirt and pants underneath as a protection layer, and maybe also use rounded scissors. Also cut it open along the back where there's less curvature, because when we first did this, we cut me open on the side. And let me tell you, that wasn't much fun. So if you do this, please be very careful. The rest I could do by myself. I divided the whole form into enough pieces so all pattern pieces would lie down nice and flat, and I added a lot of marks so I knew where and how to put the pieces back together. I mainly divided the whole dress form into 4 sections: upper body, lower body, legs and breasts, and again broke these sections up into smaller parts. I ended up with roughly 30 pieces for each side. Both sides look slightly different, so I used the pattern on the side which turned out better and used these pieces to duplicate it for the other side. I traced my tape pattern to paper and numbered each part. I then traced it to my fabric, and I was only using leftover fabric here. I was lucky to have this pretty upholstery fabric. Sadly, it was only enough for the front because it worked much better than a linen fabric on the back, because the stiffness added extra stability and reduced wrinkles. I then trimmed the edges because this fabric was fraying so easily. The marks helped me put the pieces back together, and I first completed each of the individual parts, upper body, lower body and legs, and I would then patch it all together into its final form. I asked my boyfriend to film me while I'm sewing.
I need your help.
All you do is need my help.
And although I appreciate the artistic thought behind this close-up shot, I never realized how disgusting my sewing machine looks, and I am on my way now to clean it. After sewing the pieces together, I made sure to press the seams. Thus, I ended up with 3 main sections that I could then put together. Now to the breasts. I took the cup and divided it into 6 pieces, like a ball. And yeah, maybe it would have been smart to divide it into different parts, because now my dress form just has 2 gravity-defying balls, but it's fine, I guess. I repeated the steps, traced it onto paper, then fabric, trimmed the edges and sewed the pieces together. I ended up with 2 cups and pinned them onto the dress form. I once again experienced how important it is to add enough marks, because I first put them in upside down and that looked, well, a bit weird. I sewed them to the dress form by hand. After that, I could sew the front and back together, and it started to look more and more like an actual dress form. To close it at the bottom of the legs, I just measured the I'll just look it up quickly. To close it at the bottom of the legs, I just measured the circumference and drew rough ovals to match it. I pinned it to the legs and sewed it together, and then I repeated the steps for the sleeves. The neckline was still open, and this is why I could turn it inside out and put in the filling. I ended a few stitches at the bottom to insert a pipe so I could put the dress form onto a tripod once it was done. I used some cotton filling I had left and a whole lot of plastic foam left over from my Angewomon wings. I told you not to throw it away because this could come in handy. I cut the foam into small pieces and just stuffed it in, making sure every inch was filled. Once it was densely filled, I could then close the neck. I measured the circumference yet again and drew a circle. If only there was a way to draw perfect circles. I should have meant something. I sewed it on by hand and ta-da! I had my finished piece. I also added a flange to the bottom so the dress form would stay in place.
So all in all, I think this turned out pretty cool. I mean, the breasts turned out a little bit too big. Maybe that was wishful thinking. The shoulder parts are a little bit too small, like I cut it off here, and it would have been better if I cut it off here. But all in all, I think it turned out pretty well. What do you say? I was worried that the butt was a little bit too flat, but then I remembered I have a very flat butt as well, so. I haven't used it for any project yet, but you will hopefully see it soon in action for future videos. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you liked I hope you liked it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed it. If not, then please just don't tell anyone. And see you next time, where I will hopefully show you this dress form in action. Bye bye!